A massive and devastating wildfire ripped through Maui. The death toll may reach the hundreds. There are still many people missing. My heart goes out to all the people who have been displaced, and I hope everybody, to the best that I can hope, I hope everybody's okay. I know that not everybody is, because as I mentioned, the death toll is going up. Right now, the president, Joe Biden, is being slammed because he's on vacation, chilling on the beach. When asked about Maui, he said, no comment. A massive disaster strikes an American city. People are dead. People are missing. I'm hearing reports of children missing and potentially many children dead. And this is what you get from Joe Biden. Why? Look, man, this guy never cared. He never cared. He was retired from the beginning, and they just needed a warm body to run for president. That's what they said in the Atlantic. Stay alive, Joe Biden. All we need is your corporeal form. So why would you actually expect Joe Biden to say, fly to Hawaii right now, to tour the damage, meet with officials, pledge relief, send funding? I'm not surprised. Billions of dollars are going to Ukraine, and people in this country are suffering. Why? Well, we have a border crisis, sent money to Ukraine instead. We have plumbing problems in a bunch of cities. I think Pittsburgh, obviously Flint, Michigan was the big story. Some say those may have been fixed already. Newark, New Jersey. We don't get funding for any of that. We have massive crime sprees, a viral video coming out this weekend of a large gang raiding a mall and just stealing everything. Not literally everything, but everything they can. More funding for Ukraine. And that's where we're currently at. Here's a story from the New York Post. President Biden offered a stony-hearted no comment Sunday when asked about the mounting death toll in the catastrophic Maui wildfire, the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, after sunning himself on a beach near his Delaware home. The commander-in-chief gave the unsympathetic non-answer as the death toll climbed to 96 late Sunday. After a couple hours on the Rehoboth Beach, POTUS was asked about the rising death toll in Hawaii. Bloomberg reporter Justin Sink wrote on X, no comment, he said, before heading home. Added the White House correspondent, who also posted a photo of Biden 80 lounging with a group of people in the distance. The grim tally, which is expected to rise as search and rescue operations frantically continue, made the inferno Hawaii's worst natural disaster. It is now the deadliest U.S. wildfire since 1918, when 453 people died in the Cloquet Fire in Minnesota and Wisconsin, according to data from the National Fire Protection Association. This stuff boils my blood, but I'm just at the point where what more can be said? The deadliest wildfire in more than a century. And Joe Biden chilling on the beach. Now, I understand. There's not a whole lot the man can do, but there is stuff he can do. He can have meetings. He can talk with local leaders. He can meet with people in the U.S. federal government, say, what do we have to do to get funding and emergency services here now? Give me the briefing. Tell me what's up. And let me remind the American people that their president has them in mind in these trying times. At the very least, let's say Joe Biden filled all the paperwork, did everything right, and said, we're all taken care of. I'm going to the beach. At the very least, when asked, he can say, look, we've done everything we can. I'm here with my family. We're relaxing on the beach because sometimes after a long day, you need to relax. But we don't. He could have at least said that. Not that it would have gone over the best, like I'm here vacationing. I think the president's allowed to take days off and vacation, but it's just remarkable. It's almost like he intentionally wants to spit in your face. Dude, if you don't want the job, don't take it. When you're president, you stand up before the American people in a time of crisis and say, as your leader, rest assured, we are doing everything in our power to find these missing people and children, to send relief aid and help those displaced. Nah, not him. During a bike ride earlier Sunday, Biden gave a similar unfeeling answer when asked about the tragedy. We're looking at it, he said. Biden last week declared a major disaster on Maui, pledging that the federal response will ensure that anyone who lost a loved one or whose home has been damaged or destroyed is going to get help immediately. But the president's tepid responses Sunday garnered quick backlash, with some comparing them to his response to the toxic spill unleashed by a train derailment in East Palestine and Ohio earlier this year. Biden doesn't give a F about the suffering people of Maui, tweeted Monica Crowley, former U.S. Treasury Department Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs during the Trump administration. Or the suffering people of East Palestine, Ohio, or the suffering people in border towns, or the suffering people anywhere in America. But you better believe Joe Biden cares deeply about the suffering people of Ukraine. I have an update here. And there's more to the story, too. Big viral conspiracy theories are running wild about what really happened. And there's a couple interesting ones. What started the fire in Maui? Well, as I joked last week, as much as there are many wild theories about what it may have been and hypotheses, it was probably some lady's cow kicking over a lantern. In reality, what they're saying is they think it was damaged power lines, which I got to be honest, sounds about right. And not only do you have that, there was apparently some messages. There was a post on Reddit, got deleted. I don't know if it's true. Just someone posted a message saying that the talk on the island was that the fire department thought they had contained the fire early on, and so they left. And what is true is, take a look at this from CNN. Hawaii has a robust emergency siren warning system. It sat silent during the deadly wildfires. Now, some may look at the absolute devastation. I got to be honest. When I saw these photos, I did not think fire. I thought bomb. I am not saying a bomb went off. We know there were fire. There's videos. There's people who's witnessed it and survived it. I'm saying the damage of the fires was so massive and widespread. Cars on the road all burst into flames. You had massive winds, 1,000-degree fire on these buildings, and it lit everything on fire. Man, there's crazy videos from, I think, like right here. There's people in the water for hours. Now, when I look at the devastation, sure, it does seem like something more than just a fire. But the reality may be this simple, my friends. By all means, let's go over the conspiracy theories. We got a new report from the South China Morning Post about China's advanced laser weapons. We've talked about there's a video of lasers actually cycling over Hawaii, specifically, I think, Maui. Apparently, they were scanning lasers because they're not that powerful from a low orbit satellite with the intent of checking for pollution. I don't know if I believe that. I think, if anything, it's more likely to be some kind of LiDAR scanning probe to take a look at what's going on, to scan the island and get data, not just on air quality, but probably for military purposes. There's two principal conspiracies. I love this. The one that makes the most sense is that China attacked a Pacific city, a major economic hub and not literal military base, but base of operations for economic activity in the Pacific. Which, look, if there's going to be war in the Pacific theater, this helps China. China having developed laser weapons, people are saying, it was China, they fired a laser. There's a bunch of fake photos online of a rocket launch that looks like a laser strike. But, you can't see lasers. Infrared lasers, the ones they actually use in military, for militaristic purposes, you can't see. And there are ways you can make it visible. The satellite photo that I talked about a moment ago was green. That's one conspiracy. The next is that the World Economic Forum Davos elite intentionally destroyed Maui to build a smart city. I just want to tell you guys, I really don't think that one is, I believe, out of the question. Is it in the realm of possibility? Like, well, it's physically possible. And like, you can believe in a grandiose conspiracy to create a smart city. It's not like they're saying that, wizards cast a spell and blew up the city or anything like that. I just think it's so incredibly unlikely. I would buy 1 million lottery tickets before I believed that was the case. But by all means, you can certainly believe that. And the reason why I don't believe that is because they already were making Maui a smart city. Look at this. This is from McCain-Inc. Swarco, Maui's Smart City Solutions. We have this from Hitachi, Hawaii's goal for building a smart city. The fire stopped the smart city. If anything, the fire was bad for their smart city ambitions because that's what they were doing. So the conspiracy theory is that in order to seize the land to build their smart hub city, they had to buy it from people, but the people wouldn't sell. So they torch it all instead. And now people are forced to sell. I'm sorry. That one's just, it's too convoluted. Now, if you were to tell me that China attacked Maui, that's actually relatively simple. Now, unfortunately, for all the conspiracy theorists, the simplest of solutions is damaged power line caused fire. High winds spread fire. It happens. To be like, well, we haven't had a fire this bad in 100 years means it's probably, nah. Look, I think the simplest solution here, the simplest reality is that power lines started a fire. Now, it is very possible that it was a military strike. Why? Well, the U.S. is not going to come out right now and say, hello, everyone, we want you to be informed that China militaristically attacked one of our cities and razed it, killing 100 plus, maybe even hundreds of people, because we would have to declare war. And maybe China wants us to. Some argue that it was a false flag and that eventually the U.S. will come out and say that China attacked us for the purpose of creating a casus belli, a cause for war, so that we can then justify to the American people why we have to go to war with China. It's all a bit far-fetched. I got to be honest. The challenge is when the dust settles and we look back at this, we'll know for sure. Honestly, if someone said to make a bet, if I was at the horse races and they said, here's a horse named Cow Knocks Over Lantern, Power Lines Spark Fire, you know where I'm putting my money. I'm going to be like, you may not win the most, but you know what's going to, ultimately come out to be most likely downed power lines. We have this from Forbes. Conspiracy theorists go viral with claims space lasers are to blame for Hawaii fires. Now, I do want to point this out, though. From the South China Morning Post, Chinese military scientists claim to have achieved a huge breakthrough in laser weapon technology. Why would they publicly announce this literally a few days after this fire in Maui with conspiracy theories about these fires? Interesting timing. Two things. One, there's no way they just discovered this technology. They've had to have had it for a very, very long time. Now they're revealing to the world that they have these capabilities. The first thing may be that they have it. They've had it for a while, and the technology is outdated, so they've publicly announced it. It could be that it's a new technology. It's very weak, but they want to seem more. They want to bolster their military prowess as perceived by the rest of the world, so they can say we have a powerful new weapon. Haha. There's another possibility. I shouldn't say two. I should say three. That they're goading us. They actually used their space lasers to fire on Maui. Scientists in China have claimed a major breakthrough in laser weapons technology, potentially changing the face of battle. Now, here's the thing. Lasers range, not that good. With this new technology, it's an advanced cooling system, which can be great. And the reality is, I'd assume they've had this for some time, as I mentioned, but the range is not going to be. I don't think you could really pull off a low orbit laser strike right now. I could be wrong. Because again, military technology is probably way more advanced than we realized. And theoretically, if you had like 1,000 satellites all aim their lasers to a single point, you could start small brush fires. Not that hard. Now you've got people you've had them believing that Canada may have been started by lasers and by space lasers and by arsonists. We know that some of the fires in Canada were started by arsonists. I'm not sure how many. But I mean, we even have videos of people in the West Coast starting fires. But that one seems like a lightning strike. Look, man, I know everybody wants to believe that the world is like crazy war and everything and violence. It's funny that people will say, like, Tim's always saying, that there's going to be World War III and Civil War and all that stuff. And I'm like, yes, because when China announces new weapons, when they send military fleets, naval fleets to our territory and they're going around U.S. territory, that is alarming. When you have the president trying to arrest his chief political rival, that is alarming. But at the same time, nobody ever comes out and says, actually, Tim's being way more reasonable on this stuff and not arguing that China attacked us. Because I think the simple solution right now, if we were going to look at the evidence, is probably just power lines start fires. It really is simplest. They want to come out with evidence that China did this. Okay, then we'll entertain it. It is possible. And I think the probability is actually decent, but nowhere near the majority. Single digits. I know that's probably a lot, 5%. I think the prospect of war with China is very, very real. And of course, China is going to make preemptive moves to damage our economic abilities and any kind of base of operations for human personnel anywhere. Here's what I want to say about this with the story. Look at this. This is CBK News tweeted, this photo is circulating social media. Apparently, this beam was captured before the Hawaii fires. Can anyone confirm? It is not true. That is I believe it's a SpaceX launch. Yeah, it's a 2019 SpaceX launch, long exposure. So what you're seeing is the thrust. It's the blast from the rocket taking off on a long exposure photo, so you can see this beam. This is not what a laser strike would look like. There would not be this beam that the beam appears to be like 50 to 70 feet wide based on the image. Lasers would be very, very small. Maybe, I don't know. I think 10 inches. I think the military laser that they had may have been like a 10-inch laser, like 10 inch in diameter. I mean, maybe even that's crazy, because if you're trying to start a fire, you just need a super intense point. And so aiming multiple lasers from different satellites in one direction to amplify the energy transference to that point to start the fire, probably not that complicated to do, but it ain't going to look anything like this, okay? Now, here's what I want to say. Why did this conspiracy theory emerge right away? Okay, I got a second conspiracy theory for all of you. Conspiracy. First, the simple solution. Because people like conspiracy theories. Because people want to believe that there's something crazier going on in the bigger picture, there's a bigger story, when in reality, life is substantially much more boring than this. Power lines probably came down. There's another conspiracy for you, that PSYOPs, military operations, are putting out fake conspiracy theories to make anyone who entertains the possibility that it was a Chinese space laser seem insane. China announces a new laser weapon technology a few days after this massive fire, and people are claiming that China, look at this video, you got lasers firing at you. China claims they have this powerful weapon right after they have this major fire where people are claiming China did this. China may be trying to goad us. They may be trying to mock us by saying we have this technology. There's a whole lot going on, and I got to be honest, y'all ain't going to know about it. We're not going to know about it. That's just the reality. High energy laser weapons can now operate infinitely thanks to a new cooling system that completely eliminates the buildup of waste heat. The technology could significantly change the face of battle by extending engagement times and increasing range and damage, researchers say. So we don't know. The conspiracy theory could be the conspiracy theory itself. Isn't that funny? But I don't think anything's accomplished for any of the people who are hurting by sitting here and complaining about whether China's lasers hit us or whatever. I do think talking about Joe Biden's inaction is something we can do to actually help people. Now, first and foremost, we should seek out ways to actually help those displaced. And there are powerful and wealthy individuals involved who are seeking to raise funds, and they're donating a lot of their personal money to try and help those who are displaced. I respect it. It's whatever, man. I'm not here to get political. You know, people are mad at Oprah and all that. If she's making donations, that's fantastic. You've got a bunch of other celebrities who live on the island who say they're going to be working on relief efforts. Look, man, all I can do is say, please and thank you. Please do more. Please give as much as you can. Help these people. I think talking about Joe Biden and his vacationing is very important. Being the president of the United States is not an easy job, and it's not for the light of heart, and it ain't for the lazy. You want to be the president? Expect to work endlessly. They talk about how the presidency ages people, and they have a photo of Barack Obama before and Barack Obama after, and he looks aged and tired. And The Onion made the joke about Joe Biden. Once he got elected, they said winning the presidency already ages Joe Biden by 10 years, and it showed a rotted corpse. That was brutal. It was really, really funny. But yeah, they say it's very stressful. Well, Joe Biden likes to vacation a lot. I think he spent half his time vacationing. He's at Rehoboth Beach, just chilling and getting some sun with a smile on his face, laughing, probably having a nice Bud Light. And they say, Mr. President, we believe there's going to be hundreds dead as we continue to navigate this crisis. And he goes, no comment. Come on, man. You don't get to just abandon, like, it's a large nation with a lot of people. And this is a major disaster, a once-in-a-century disaster. And you could not just forego vacation for 1 week. 1 week. To put on a suit and stand up and say, we're trying, man. We're going to do everything we can. That is what we will always do. He could even say, I'm supposed to go on vacation with my family. But I tell you this, there is nothing more important than the American people, their safety and security, and I, as president, will ensure that. And that is why I am going to go and visit Hawaii to survey the damage and do everything I can to get relief sent to the people of Lahaina and to help stop the suffering. Instead, what did he do? I'm going to the beach! Ha! Okay. We have another story Not that I know if it relates or anything, but this is from Raw's Alerts. Multiple firefighters are on scene battling a significant mulch fire. A huge fire. This is a crazy video.
It's coming.
There's like a large mound of mulch that's burning.
That's crazy. Mulch fire.
I have a little bit of a different. I moved to a different position. I'm about 30 feet away from the structure. I can feel the heat.
You know, people really underestimate fires. For those that have ever been around large fires, building fires, you know. But a lot of people have not. When I was in Ferguson, I'm on West Florissant, the street, where the rioters basically torched every single building. It was crazy. And I actually saved a building from being burned, actually. Well, I passively did. I'll explain. But driving on the road, 50 to probably 100 feet from a building, you could feel the heat as if you were right up to a fire. Because the fire's so big, the heat coming off it was insane. But actually, we were down the street, and someone tried setting a building on fire by placing a burning bag in the trash behind it. And as the cops were walking by, I was like, hey, they set a fire. And the cops came and put it out, and like other journalists were like, shut up, dude. You're going to get us killed. Like, if they hear you pointing that out and helping the cops. And I'm like, oh, shut up, dude. They're trying to set fires, you know. But I get it. Really, really, I do. I don't know if this fire has anything to do with anything, to be completely honest, right? It's just another component. But people are now pointing out that nearby Houston, they're building more smart cities. This is a story from Axios. In Dallas, a model smart city project bears fruit. So I'll just say this. It is not a conspiracy that the president is a garbage president who is ignoring the American people in a crisis. Whether or not this fire was caused by anything other than electrical malfunction, conspiracies, hypotheses, call it whatever you want. But I'll say this. If you come to me and tell me that the infrastructure of this country is crumbling, it's being mismanaged and everything's falling apart and nobody cares, I'd say, yep, sounds about right. So when you have a video of 50 people raiding a mall and these raids are happening all over the country, society seems to be breaking down, then you come to me and say power lines broke and caused a major fire, I'd be like, yeah, expect more of it. Expect more mulch fires and power plants blowing up and houses exploding in Pittsburgh like we just saw. These things are happening because the system is breaking apart. But we shall see. We'll have more news on this obviously later. Thanks for hanging out. And I will see you all at 1 p.m. on this channel in the next segment.